In a fun junk journal dream, DJ's crafting grungy scenes. Hither and yon, where friends all meet. Paper glue and vintage treats.
Hello, my crafty friends and creatives from around the globe. Welcome to Hither and Yon Studio. And if you've been here before, welcome back. Thanks for coming back. The beginning of this audio somehow got lost, so we're going to work in this October journal, and I'm going to just chat you through kind of some of what I'm going over here. All the details for this are in the description box below, so if you're new here, just check that out. It's below in the pinned comment and the description box, but by now we're up to part 6, and I'm going to finish that up today. And you should have received your freebie, which is the actual storybook that goes with this make this month. And I'm just going to go over now how to kind of assemble that so that you guys know how to put the storybook together, because it does look a little complicated if you don't have some instructions. So you should have received that, and if you didn't, just go back to the original file where you got your kit and it'll be in there. And I'll go through it now, and the audio is just about to kick back in, so I'll see you on the other side. Bye. With this cover and some fairy wings. Okay, so the cover's on top. If you don't have that, check your email, and if you checked your email but you haven't opted in, you're not going to have any of this, so you have to opt in through the link down in the description box below. But if you're seeing this after October, that link will have gone and you'll have to buy the kit. But this is free throughout the month of October 2025. So if you checked your email and you can't find it, go back to the original email where you got the kit delivery, like the original kit when you first opted in. There's a link in there. If you click that, that'll take you over to the whole file. And in that includes all the original files and the bonus files, including this storybook. Okay. So the way you want to print this is there's 10 pages, and you want to print them so that page 1 is on the opposing page of 2. So 1 is on this side, 2 is on that side, 3 is on this side, 4 is on this side, and so on. Okay, so all your odd pages are on one side and all your even pages are on the other side. Now, it may look weird when you print this out, like this is page 40, this is page 1, this is page 38, this is page 3. Doesn't seem to make sense. That's okay. Just pay attention to these numbers here on the bottom. And as long as this is 1 and this is 2, you're good. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? And then when you cut them out, what's going to happen is they will form the book. So here is the book, and I'll just show you quick. We'll pull out the pages and you'll kind of see what I mean. So these are all in order, and they're meant to be a single signature. You can't break this up into multiple signatures. It won't line up. Trust me, don't try it. The only way you're going to make that work is if you cut these in half and then glue these pages on a separate page. So yeah, anyway, make sure that when you are putting your pages through your printer, like mine doesn't do two-sided print, not my ET2800. I have to kind of feed, it comes out one way and then the other side is blank. I have to flip it over and put it back in my machine in the order in which it came out. And then as it's feeding through the machine, sometimes it makes my papers like pop as it's pulling the next sheet. So what I try to do is just always align it, especially if it has the rear feeder, because for some reason those rear feeders, they just make the papers pop for whatever reason. But when it realigns, sometimes like this page is just a hair off like that, and then these won't cut out evenly. So just make sure everything prints evenly, and if it does, then when you cut this out, these will line up. Okay. All right, so like you'll see here, this is this page and this is this page. So this is page 1, but when we put them in the book, they go in an order that makes this page all the way at the end. You see how that's working? So that's why they're in the order that they're in. Once you cut them out, you're just going to fold them so that page 1 is the first page, and then it goes from there. So page 2, 3, and I numbered them for that reason, so you can easily get them in order. So you have to print them correctly, and then you have to order them correctly. So I just wanted to point that out because I don't want anybody getting confused. Worst case, you don't want to go through all this, you know, cutting and folding and making sure everything's in order. You can just print the sheets out, cut out each individual page, and put it on a page. That's the other option. But yeah, it's going to form one cohesive signature. And then I made it into a little mini book here. That's why I gave you the cover. And I gave you this little journey to light that we can put on the cover. I'm going to make mine sit up a little, but first I'm going to just put this together quick. I'm just going to use a pamphlet stitch. Not even a 2-hole stitch. I'm just going to put 2 holes in it and put a little piece of twine between it. I'm not going to get crazy or anything because why do we need to do that? We're at the end here now. We're at the finish line. If you want to put 3 to 5 holes in it, go ahead. Be my guest. I am just going to use 2, and I think I'll use this. This is pretty. And I don't really need a needle, but we're going to get it anyway. Right. And let's just do this quick. I have done so many of these. There's a lot of 3-hole pamphlet stitch, 2-hole pamphlet stitch, 5-hole pamphlet stitch. You can find them all over YouTube. I'm just going to put a hole here and here, and that's going to be the end of it. Okay, and I'm not doing anything fancy. Just don't poke your hand. I'm just kind of measuring them by eyeballing them. I fold it over so I get my all in the center of the pages, and then I'm just going to put a little piece of string through it. Nothing crazy. Nothing too crazy for this one. And I'm probably just going to tie it up in the middle. First, I'm going to get this needle thread. Come on. Hey, finally. Okay, so just going in the top hole, down the bottom hole, and tying it in the center. That's it. That's all I'm doing. Okay, but like I said, if you want to get fancy, go for it. It's entirely too long of a piece of string. All right, and I can take these out now. And this includes the entire story and includes today's passage, which we'll go over in a sec. As soon as I get this all tied up. It's harder to do with just one set of hands, but let's see. Close enough. Okay. All right, and I'm just going to put this little, actually, let me see if I can just tie this in a bow. There we go. Just don't want them dangling. And I'm going to use a little piece of Kids Craft Foam to put the title on. You don't have to use this title. I just included it in case you wanted to have it on there. So I cut this out of the bonus. This was in the bonus. And I'm just taking a little piece of craft foam for the back just to give it a little dimension. If you have dimensional tape or something, use that. Glue dots. And then I am going to put that right there. So that's our little storybook. I know it's small. I know the type is small. I know there's a lot of old eyes out there in the audience. It had to be this way. Otherwise, this thing would have been forever big and it wouldn't have fit anywhere. So that is it. You can always blow it up bigger in Canva if you'd like to make it a bigger book, but this is what we're going with. Now this, I intended to have it sit here, so I made pockets. The back one is on here, and I figured I could just stuff my extra ephemera in there. And then here, I made another pocket. This is measuring 5.5 by 2.5, and that's because my area here, and yours might be different, is about 4.75. So I did it 5.5 by 2.5, and then I scored a 1/4 inch and a 1/2 inch on all 3 sides. Okay, you can probably see it a little better this way, maybe. So there's a score. And then I'm going to cut out these corners. So there should be a little box after you're done scoring with 4 squares in it. And you just want to cut them out. So it's going to look like that. And you can see my score marks there. It doesn't matter what you have printed on this side because you're really not going to see it. And then you just fold on the score marks. And you see that's giving you like a little 1/4 inch gusset. I'm going to do that on 3 sides. Okay, and then we're just going to glue our corners together like that. So I'm just overlapping them slightly and just putting a dab of glue. And maybe I'll stick my little bone folder in there to kind of give me some pressure from the underside. Maybe this might be better. Okay, you don't have to do this step. I just find it's easier to put down sometimes if you have this already glued. So the key is to just make sure that corner is all lined up. Hope you guys are having a good day, a good crafty day. We're almost over with October, so if you didn't download your files, make sure you click the link and download them to your device, because just opting in is not enough. They're not going to be there after November 1st or after the end of day, October 31st. So you got to go grab them and get them onto your own device, your own computer, your own cloud storage. Just opting in is not enough. I go over this every month, but then on November 1st, I get a bunch of emails saying, oh, I didn't realize that. But it's in every single email, guys. Every single email. Get your emails and read that little box that says, please read. All right, so you got to download them. All right, if you missed the download, no worries. They'll be for sale in the shop. Each kit is very reasonably priced, and you get a lot of stuff. I always give away a lot of stuff in these freebies, so it's always good to get the freebie, but you know, if for some reason you don't get it, you can always buy it, and if you really want it. All right, I'm just using my ruler to kind of push them in place. Okay, and then this is going to go in here. But I'm going to let it dry a little bit, and while I do, I'm just going to read you the next passage in this story. All right, so where we left off, our weary traveler, who is now re-energized, they were going through this arch of stone. Okay, and this was the last freebie you got before this recent one. So, Twilight held the world in a soft breath as she stepped beneath the stone arch. Butterflies lifted like sparks, then settled along the curve of the doorway, their wings opening and closing as if blessing each step. Beyond the archway, the air changed, cooler at first, then warm, the kind of warmth that comes not from the sun, but from welcome. She entered a vast hall that seemed carved from the morning itself. Columns rose like quiet trees, their surfaces crystalline, carrying light upward to a vaulted canopy that shimmered as though it remembered the colors of the day. Nothing blazed, everything glowed. The hush here wasn't empty. It rang gently, the way silence in a chapel holds the echo of every song ever sung here. She walked forward, and felt it before she understood it. A steady radiance expanding from within, meeting the light around her like two old friends embracing. In the center of the hall stood a round dais of pale stone. She stepped onto it, and the cathedral answered. Soft lights traveled along the floor, gathering into a ring that pulsed to the rhythm of her breath. Images rose around her like faint constellations. The tiny seed of light where she first learned to step away from the noise and become still. The way magic reveals itself when you finally stop to look. The cottage of blossoms where gratitude taught her to notice what is already here. Coffee steam, window light, the softness of a favorite blanket, and how noticing multiplies beauty. The sanctuary of growth, the ancient tree with its crystal crown, where a shy fairy taught that reaching upward requires roots and that patience is its own kind of courage. The meadow and garden cottage, wild and abundant, where a basket of flowers and a single seed became a lesson in how one act of care can ripple outward until a field blooms. The crystal tower, no longer a mirror but a lantern, where she learned that kindness doesn't always echo loudly back. Sometimes it returns as warmth through different hands on a different day. The temple of harmony, ringed with locust and evening light, where a quiet voice reminded her that she can't always choose what happens, but she can choose how she sees it, and that love is given not because it's earned, but because it keeps the spirit whole. The lights circled once, then faded into a soft pearly glow. Across the far side of the hall, a small door appeared. The kind you might overlook unless you believed in small doors. It opened, and the tiniest of footfalls came forward. A fairy stepped into the glow, familiar and new all at once. Her wings like thin glass washed in dawn. She looked up at the traveler with a tenderness that undid something tight and old inside the traveler's chest. "You began at twilight," the fairy said, "when the day was tired, and so were you. You walked a path of quiet lessons, stillness, gratitude, patient growth, generous giving, faithful receiving, and the clear choosing of love. Each was a lantern, each lit the next step." The fairy lifted her small hand. A thread of light rose between them, trembled, and divided into many threads, weaving themselves into a simple, luminous braid. "This is the greatest lesson," she said softly. "You are not separate from the light you seek. Every time you step away from the clamor to become still, you make space for it. Every time you notice what is already good, you feed it. Every time you root and grow, you steady it. Every time you give, you extend it. Every time you receive with an open heart, you return it to the circle. And every time you choose love over fear, especially when no one is watching, you become it." The traveler felt the truth of it settle into her bones. The path had never been a ladder out of life. It had been a way into life, a way home. "Take this with you," the fairy whispered, and the braided light dissolved into the traveler's hands, warm as held palm, soft as breath. It sank into her skin without a trace, and yet she felt it, steady as a heartbeat. The cathedral brightened. The crystalline canopy seemed to open, as if a sky were tucked just beyond it. She realized the light inside the hall was beginning to change. Not the gold of evening, but the first pale silver of a coming day. It wasn't yet sunrise, it was the promise of sunrise. She turned, and the great doors she hadn't seen before stood open. Outside, the world waited in a dawn-colored hush, and the butterflies from the archway rose and drifted ahead of her like silent bells. She crossed the threshold, took one step, then another, and the cathedral of light thinned gradually into trees and path and the familiar bend behind her neighborhood. She stood where she had begun, at twilight's edge becoming morning, and listened. There were the ordinary sounds, a dog in the distance, a single car, wind in the leaves, the soft rattle of a loose gate. Yet everything felt changed, because she was changed. The small seed from the meadow rested in her pocket. She pressed it gently and thought of the lives her life brushed against every day. The thankless tasks, the meals made, the rides given, the quiet chores no one sees. Not burdens, she realized, love letters in her own handwriting. She thought, too, of how others show love, the half smile from someone who struggles with words, a light left on, a chair pulled closer, a story saved just for her, the subtle reciprocities she used to miss because she was measuring the wrong things. She walked home through the early light with a new cadence, steady, rooted, unhurried. On her doorstep, she paused, not to gather herself for battle, but to welcome herself back. Inside, the house was the same, and not the same. There were dishes to wash, a message light blinking, a plant in need of water, a flower that would gather crumbs. She tied on an apron and felt no resentment rise. Instead, a quiet tenderness settled over her. Each act would be a seed, each seed a small invitation. She could not force gratitude in others, nor would she ask their gifts to look like hers. She would look for the small ways they answered, patiently, differently, truly. At the sink, she reached for the first cup and watched morning slide across the countertop like a shy blessing. Somewhere, a lantern she couldn't see hummed softly. And because endings are also beginnings, the final lesson unfolded as simply as breath. Choose stillness when the world shouts. Choose gratitude when nothing feels like enough. Choose roots before reach, and give as if light were inexhaustible. Receive what returns, not always from the same hands, and let it warm you. Choose love, again and again, not to be owed, but to be whole. For the light you carry is the light you become, and the light you become is the light you share. She smiled, not because everything was easy now, but because everything was clear enough to love. The day opened, and she stepped into it, bringing the cathedral with her, quiet, steady, shining from within. Well, that is our story, my friends, and there's a little note at the end of your story from me to you. But we have now reached our final cathedral and have ended our journey home, back to where we started. But it was a great little journey, and I hope you enjoyed the fun little message that came with it. I think I'm just going to work on the cover now, and then we'll end here. You guys can build out the rest of your journals once we're done here, and then I hope you'll share them with me in the Facebook group. It is Hither and Yon Create Space on Facebook. And if you don't want to share to Facebook, that's fine. I'm also on Instagram at Hither and Yon Studio. And you can just tag me in a photo there if you're on Instagram, or you can just enjoy the journal yourself, give it to a grandchild, pass it on to a friend, leave it as an act of kindness for someone who may find it later. Just don't leave it in the rain. And yeah, share the light. So I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought of the story. I would really love to hear your opinion. It's not for everybody, but I thought it was a nice little gentle reminder of some things that we need to kind of remember from time to time. I know I do. I'm going to put this little bit of ribbon on here. I know what I'm doing with my cover, so I can kind of move forward. So I'm going to put this here. I'm only attaching it right here. And then I am going to take the wings from today's bonus that you received. And I'm just going to tuck these here kind of as a hint of what's to come. I'm going to put this over a little more. I think I want them all tucked under. Maybe we'll put that one in the middle. All right, so let me get this down first. At least on this end. And then, let's see where I'm going to tuck these. I guess I can put, I don't know why I did that. I don't know what's the matter with me sometimes. Like something's going on in my head that I'm not privy to. Okay, I just don't have to push it down real hard. And I don't want these hanging over that edge, so I'm just trying to maneuver this in a way that works. Okay, that's going to go there. So, and then this one. I think I'm going to put the title there, so I'm just going to kind of do that. I cut this out so I could put it here. I think I'll pop this up too with a little foam. Again, this is just kids craft foam. I get like a huge bundle of it for, you know, a couple of bucks, and it lasts forever. That's too big. And I think it works as well as foam tape. And I can cut it to a size that I want when I need to use it. And most glues work on it. I haven't found one that doesn't yet, so that's an added bonus. So this will kind of just sit there. And then this last one, I'm just going to put up here. I don't mind that it sticks out the top. I just don't want it sticking down the spine. Like that. Maybe we'll push it in a little so we can see this one. I guess I'm going to have to tilt that after all because of the glue. Okay, it's all good. All right, that is that. Let me see. I do have a few more bits, so let's let that dry. Take this out for a sec. I don't know what's going on here. I don't want this to shift too much, so. All right. I have a couple of more of these. At this point, the story is complete, so I can just use them where I want to use them. These are pockets, if you didn't know. And they hold these little circular cards. If you don't overdo your glue. Yeah, I like this story. It was a nice little fun drift away from reality. We all need that once in a while, don't we? I do. These go in here and here. And I have more tags. I can fit them throughout my journal. That's fine. I'm going to put that in there too. And probably most of these journaling cards. What else do we have? Yeah, I don't know that I want to use anything else right now. So I think we're done. I think I'll just put this little fairy down. That's it. Because I think I need something here. So I am just going to glue her little bottom. Leave the top open. I'm just going to have her kind of popped up here. Actually, go up a little more. Like that. I did cut out some circles and put them on these strings, so just punch 2 circles and glue them together over the strings. That's really all I did, I think, without you guys. So yeah, if you want to, go check out the rest of the videos in the series if you haven't already. And don't forget to grab your free kit before October 31st, 2025. Everything is in the pinned comment and in the description box below. You can get all of those details and get your free kit. And November 1st, I'm releasing a brand new kit. So if you're new here, you might want to subscribe so you know when that's coming out. Hit that bell so you get the notification. That's not going to fit. And I hope to see you then. So it's going to be a fun month. Like I said, it's my birthday month. I mentioned that on my live the other day. And I'm so excited. So we're going to celebrate with color. And yeah, all of that will be released in November on November 1st. So I hope to see you there. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed this story. I hope you will print out your little storybook. Makes a great little addition to the journal. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great rest of your day or night. Bye!